Hello everybody, and thanks for joining me for Core Yoga today. My name is Erica and I'm with UMBC Recreation. If you're new to this class or to yoga, we start with a nice slow warm-up, bring some attention to our breath, try to allow our bodies to relax before we really get into some movement. And then we pick up the pace quite a bit, build heat in the body, pick up our heart rate. Of course, we're targeting our core, and then we slow our movement down, slow our breath down with a cool down. And at the very end, we end on in a final rest period, flat on our back. We remain still for about 2 to 3 minutes, allow the benefits of the class to absorb into our body and allow us to sort of spend some time on the inside, because yoga is not just about the physical body, it is about what goes on in our mind and our spirits as well. This class is beginner friendly, but that does not necessarily mean that it will be easy. However, if it is easy for you, awesome. I want to remind everyone to always listen to your body. Take breaks if you need. You do not need to wait for me to cue breaks. You're more than welcome to find a rest position on your own. And always check with the doctor before you start a new exercise plan. Today we're going to get started laying down flat on our back, my absolute favorite, with our feet facing the front of the mat. So flat on your back, knees bent, feet are flat on the mat. You're going to separate your feet to mat with distance apart, then let the knees fall into one another. And then flat on your back, arms are nice and wide at your sides, palms face up, take up some space, open the chest, and just breathe. I'm gonna ask you to either keep your focus on one spot on the ceiling or close the eyes completely and follow the rise and fall of your chest. And now start to breathe in through the nose and exhale out through the mouth. Take a few rounds of breath just like that. In through nose, out through mouth. And as you exhale out through the mouth, imagine that all doubts and hesitations leave the body. Maybe any reservations you have about this class or something later in your day, let those worries leave the body on the exhale. Then return, breathing in and out through the nose. If the eyes are closed, you can open them or you can keep them closed if you like. Straighten the legs onto the mat. And draw the right knee in towards your chest into Apanasana. Interlacing the fingers, holding below the knee, pulling thigh close to body while flexing the feet. Take a few breaths here, pressing the low back flat to the mat. If you feel any discomfort on the knees, you can hold on to the back of the thigh instead, still getting the same benefits, just bringing some ease to the knee. Stretching the low back. Now draw the knee out towards right armpit, still pulling thigh close to body. Just opening the hip a little here. Keep following the breath. Gently release and return your leg to the mat. Left knee draws into the chest for Apanasana, holding on, feet flexed. Breathing here. Now inviting the hip into the stretch, drawing knee out towards the armpit, keeping thigh close to body. And release, leg returns to mat. Draw both knees in towards the chest, feet side by side, holding below the knees or on the back of the thighs. And taking a few more breaths here. Slightly tuck your chin in towards your chest, stretching the back side of the neck, maybe feel it going down the spine. And release the legs, sending feet to the mat, so knees are bent. Extend your right leg up towards the ceiling, holding onto the back of the thigh, pressing out through the heel. Getting a nice stretch on the back side of the leg here. Leg does not have to straighten completely. You can keep a soft bend in the knee. Now let's point the toes, getting a stretch on the front side of the leg. Maybe you feel it down the front side of the shin. Now crossing the ankle into figure 4, so releasing your hold on the back side of the leg, ankle crosses over left knee. If you look down at your legs, it should look like an upside down 4. Flex the feet and hold here as we open the hip. Take a few deep breaths. If you'd like a little more sensation in your hips here, you can float the left foot off the mat, keeping ankle in line with the knees. And you can thread your hands through, holding on to the back side of the thigh. Whichever option feels best. Left foot can stay on the mat if that feels better for your body. Then send both feet back down to the mat. Left leg extends, pressing out through the heel, holding on to the back side of the thigh, taking a few breaths here. Relieving stiffness in the legs here. Now pointing through the toes, stretching the front side of the leg, the top of the foot. Then crossing the foot into figure 4, ankle over right knee, opening the hip, flexing the feet. And if you floated the foot on the opposite side, do the same here, taking whichever position of figure 4 you did on the opposite side. Return both feet to the mat and bring hands behind the head, interlacing the fingers. Float both feet off the mat so heels are in line with hip and toes are pointed. Low back is going to press flat to the mat. We're going to start to warm up our core a little bit here. Just the right toes, nice and slow. We're going to lower them down until they touch the mat. Then draw them back in line. Knee over hip. Switching side, left toes down. Keep the low back flat to the mat and then lift. We're going to do this a few times, just warming up the low core. Right toes touch, foot lifts. Left toes touch, and foot lifts. One more time, right toes down, toes up. Left toes down, toes up. Draw knees in towards the chest, hold on to the back of the thighs. Start to rock forwards and backwards enough so you can gain momentum and rock yourself into a seated position. From here, come right into tabletop on the hands and the knees, wrists stacked under shoulders, knees stacked under hips. Round the spine into cat pose, drawing belly in, tucking chin to chest, holding here. Slowly return to tabletop, then lift and arch the spine into cow, letting belly hang, gazing up towards the ceiling. Again, rounding the spine back to cat. Draw belly in, chin to chest. Slowly lift and arch to cow. Let the belly release. One more time. Exhaling as you round the spine. Inhaling as you lift and arch. Then returning to tabletop. Bring your left fingers up towards the ceiling. Then thread the needle, passing it through the right side between hand and knee. Bringing left shoulder all the way down to floor, letting cheek come to mat. Getting a little bit of a twist here, opening the shoulders, opening the chest. And using your right hand that's anchored to the floor, you're going to slowly press yourself back to tabletop. Right fingertips extend up towards the ceiling, then thread the needle, passing it through the left side, bringing cheek down to floor and taking a few breaths here. Slowly pressing yourself back to tabletop and planting the fingers nice and wide. Turn your fingertips out so they face the long edges of your mat. And we're going to shift gently side to side, just loosening up the wrist here. We do a lot of planks in this class and work on our hands. So we just want to relieve any tension in the wrist, help to warm them up. Now turn fingertips facing towards the knees. If this feels very tight on the wrist, you can walk the knees in a little bit. You'll bring some ease. And then we're just going to lean forwards and backwards just a tiny bit. Come back to tabletop with fingertips forward and knees stacked under the hips. And then just wring out the wrists, each hand. Lift up to the tips of the fingers. Extend your right leg behind you, pointing through the toes, keeping heel in line with hip, and draw the belly in to help flatten your back. Give me our first tabletop crunch, drawing right knee in towards the chest. Round the spine, draw the belly in, lift the knee as high as you can as if you wanted to kiss it, then extend the leg behind you once again. Again, knee into chest for tabletop crunch, round the spine, draw breath out as you find the crunch, then step or place the foot into lunge, ankle below the knee, foot directly between the hands. Slowly draw the breath in through the nose as you lift both arms overhead. Nice slow movement, deep breath. Exhale out through the mouth, returning fingertips to mat. Again, breath in through nose and arms up. We're going to hold it here, so exhale, arms up to ceiling. And take a few more breaths here, drawing belly in, sending tailbone towards the floor. Relaxing shoulders away from the ears. Let's add a little twist here, twisting from the belly over to the right, lowering arms down at our sides. If we're challenging our balance, we're going to gaze to look towards the back of the mat. Keep core nice and active. Thighs are energetically squeezing towards one another for stability. Then slowly lift both arms back overhead, gaze up towards the ceiling, then lower fingertips to floor. Extend right leg behind you, point through the toes, keep that leg nice and active, belly drawn in, then return to tabletop, knee to mat. Left leg extends, heel in line with hip, flat in the back. Give me one tabletop crunch, knee to chest, round the spine, draw the belly in, lift that knee high, then extend, straightening the leg behind you. Exhale, knee to chest for the crunch, draw belly in, and step or place your foot into lunge. Draw the breath in through the nose, lift both arms overhead, nice and slow. Deep breath into the chest. Slow exhale out through the mouth, fingertips return to the floor. Again, breath in, arms up. We're going to hold here. Exhale, fingertips up to ceiling. Take a few breaths into the chest. Then add your twist over to the left, arms lower down by sides. If you're challenging your balance, you're looking to the back of the mat. Draw a breath in as both arms lift overhead, gaze is up to ceiling, then exhale, returning fingertips to floor. Extending left leg behind you, pointing through the toes, then returning to tabletop. Lower the elbows down to puppy pose, elbows stacked under shoulders, palms face down to floor, then let your head hang heavy. Take a few breaths here. Puppy pose, this is option 1 for your rest. Anytime throughout the class that you need it, you do not have to wait for me to cue. Option 2 is to find child's pose, sending hips all the way back to the heels and resting forehead on the mat. Take a few breaths here and appreciate this stillness as we finish our warm-up. Deepen the breath. Appreciating the stillness because we're about to pick up our movement. Slowly return yourself to a tabletop position. Lift up to the tips of the fingers. Extend your left leg behind you, preparing for tabletop crunch. Exhale as you draw knee to chest around the spine. Lift the knee as high as you can, then step or place the foot into lunge. Lift up to just the pointer and the middle finger now. Tuck your right toes onto the mat. Lift right knee into the air, send the chest forward, draw belly in. Step up to half lift. Right foot steps up to the top of the mat. We flatten the back, hands to shins. Chest is parallel to floor and gaze is down towards the mat. Lower to forward fold. Bend the knees enough so that your belly can make contact with your thighs. Let your arms and head hang heavy towards the floor. Weight is heavily in the balls of the feet, but heels stay on the mat. Hips reaching up towards the ceiling, low belly drawing in, upper body hangs and reaches towards the mat. One vertebrae at a time, we'll round our spines up to a standing position, nice and slow. Let your chin lift from the chest, very last, and find yourself in a standing position. Beautiful. So now we're going to move into the bulk of our practice. Every week we have a new plank sequence. So I'm going to demo that sequence first, and then we're going to work together to tie that into our practice. So just watch me the first time through. Today we're going to take some variations of bear crawls or bear lifts. And to make sure that we're keeping the weight off of our wrist, we're going to talk a hot second about how you should be placing the weight on your hands. Not just at the base of the palm, that creates a lot of wrist discomfort. Not just this area, but the tops of the palm too, where the fingers meet the hand and out through the tips of the fingers. So almost like we're a frog suctioning to the glass. So tips of the fingers, top of the palm, base of the palm. Get some of that pressure off of the wrist. We're gonna start in a tabletop position. I always give a countdown, like plank work's coming in 3, 2, 1. So engage those hands, you can practice now. Knees under hips. So for bear crawl, we lift the knees off the mat. It's important to keep your back flat and belly drawn in towards the spine. After we lift the knees, we're gonna find a twist. So knees are gonna twist to one side of the mat, almost like hip dips. So hips come down just a bit and we return. Twist, hold, twist, hold, twist, hold. Just 2 times. The knees come down to the mat. Elbows come down to the mat, into puppy pose before we step back into plank. When we enter plank this way, it's important to remember to lower your hips into alignment and don't keep them in the air. We're gonna hold a forearm plank for 5 seconds, then we're gonna release down to our bellies, and we'll carry on from there. So let's all start to tie these into some sun salutations. We're gonna start at the top of our mat with our feet hips width distance apart. Stand nice and tall, ground your feet onto the mat. Lift through the chest, palms facing forward. Take a few breaths here, in through nose, out through mouth. Again, deep breath in, breath out. Next inhale brings arms overhead, gaze up to ceiling. Exhale into forward fold, bend the knees, belly comes down to thighs, arms and head hang heavy. Rise to half lift, flatten your back. Step back into a plank position, so bend the knees, step back into plank, then lower the knees to tabletop. Remember what we talked about those hands, engage the hands. Second knuckle can lift off the mat, then tuck the toes onto the floor. We're gonna lift to bear in 3, 2, 1. Lift, twist, return to start. Twist, return to start. Twist, keep this pace. Twist, keep this pace. Lower the knees. Find your puppy pose. Step back to forearm plank. Lower the hips and hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, and release. Chest comes down, tops of feet to mat and hands under shoulders, elbows up to ceiling. Lift the chest to baby cobra using strength of your core and your low back. Do not press into your hands here. And now press into the hands to find your rest position. Either puppy pose or child's, hips to heels, whichever you prefer. Take a deep breath or 2 here. Then rise back to tabletop, lifting up to the tips of the fingers. Extend your right leg behind you, heel in line with hip. Give me a crunch, knee to chest. Lift that knee nice and high and get the foot into lunge. Just the pointer and the middle finger now, and tuck the left toes onto the mat. Lift knee into the air, send chest forward and step up to half lift, hands to shins and back is flat. Lower to forward fold, belly meets the thighs, head reaches for the floor. And nice and slow, we'll round the spine up to a standing position. Same thing, arms overhead, gaze up. As we exhale, we'll return to fold, belly meets the thighs. Rise half lift, flatten your back. Step back into plank position before finding tabletop knees to mat. We'll lift into bear crawl in 3, 2, 1. Hold, twist, start. Twist and start. Second time through. Knees to mat, puppy pose. Find your forearm plank. Don't forget to lower those hips. We're holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, and release. Tops of feet to mat, hands under shoulders. Inhale as you lift the chest to baby cobra. Shoulders wrap behind the heart. Then press to your rest position, puppy pose or child's. Slowly come back to tabletop, lift up to the tips of your fingers. Extend your left leg behind you, pointing through the toes. Give me a crunch into a lunge, stepping the foot in between the hands. Slowly step up to half lift, back is flat and feet are together. Lower to forward fold, belly makes contact with thighs. Then round the spine. Up to standing. Last time through, give me an inhale to lift the arms overhead. Give me an exhale to find the fold, belly meets thighs. Inhale, half lift. Step back into plank and then pause in tabletop. Here's an option to kick things up a notch if this plank sequence seems a little easy for you. Before I give you the harder version, before I give you the harder version, if what we're doing now seems a little too hard, you can skip adding the twist, hold your bear crawl. If you would like to kick things up a notch, you're gonna add a kick. So when you twist to the right, for example, left leg's gonna come right out and we'll go right back to bear. We're gonna twist to the left, so right leg comes out, comes right back in, back to bear. Try that out if you like. If it doesn't work for you, skip it. You are not obligated to hold on to anything that you try out. Let's prepare for our first lift in 3, 2, 1. We're gonna hold, add the twist, back to start. Add the twist, back to start. Keep it going. Last time. Knees to mat. Puppy pose. Forearm plank. Heel in line with hips in line with shoulders. We're holding for 3, 2, 1, and release. Lift the chest to baby cobra, shoulders behind the heart, and press to your rest position. We're gonna keep our heart rate up, so we're gonna rise right back to tabletop. Lift up to the tips of the fingers. Extend your left leg behind you. Give me a crunch, knee to chest, around the spine, step or place the foot into lunge. Slowly make your way up to half lift, back is flat, hands to shins. Lower to fold, belly to thighs. Slowly rise up to standing, chin lifts from the chest last. Bring just the left arm up to the ceiling, reach through the tips of your fingers, root down through left foot, then add a bit of a side bend over to the right. Lift chin from chest, keep belly active. Don't press or push the side bend here, still keep length on the right side of the body. Lift the left hand back to the ceiling and lower arm down by your sides. Give me a deep breath in, both arms overhead, and exhale to fold, belly meets the thighs. Rise to half lift, flatten your back. Step your right foot back into a lunge position. So fingertips to floor, Left knee right over the ankle. We're on the ball of the right foot. Bring your hands to your thighs, then extend both arms overhead. Holding here, not holding the breath. Excuse me. If you're challenging your balance, we're going to add a belly twist over to the left, lowering our arms down by our sides, maybe gazing to the back of the mat. Keep the core active. Bring both arms back overhead and open into 5-pointed star, turning towards the long side of your mat. Feet are facing forward and arms are at shoulder height. Now turn the toes so they face away from one another and bend the knees into goddess. Knees over ankles and sending the hips down as low as you can towards the floor. We're going to add some twist here. So right elbow is going to bend, bringing hand towards the body, and we'll add a side bend over to the side. Free arm frames the ear. Then we'll come back to start, arms at shoulder height. Opposite side, left arm in, right arm up overhead, and back to start. We're going to keep up with this, moving a few times at our own pace, drawing the belly in as you find the side bend. If you'd like a slightly harder version, when the hand that bends, you can try bringing that all the way down to the thigh, adding a little bit extra of a twist, feeling that side bend on the side of the body a little more. And then finish whatever side you're on and straighten the legs. Turn the toes forward. Bring hands to hips. Hinging forward at the hips into half lift, so chest is parallel to floor. Then bring fingertips to floor, bending the knees if you need to make that happen. We're going to walk into lunge. Left foot turns to face the front of the mat. We're going to walk the hands to frame the foot and lift up so we're back on the ball of the right. Step back into plank and lower knees to tabletop, preparing for our bear lift in 3, 2, 1. Hold and twist, back to start, and twist. Twist and twist. Knees to mat, find puppy pose and your forearm plank. Hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, and release. Inhale, baby cobra, chest lifts, and exhale to your rest position. This time we will take a little bit of a breather here. Bring the attention to your breath, deepen your breath. Take advantage of this quick moment of stillness. We've got to finish up on our opposite side, so let's lift right back to tabletop. Lift up to the tips of your fingers and extend your right leg behind you, pointing through the toes. Giving me a crunch, knee to chest, step the foot into lunge, and make your way up to half lift, hands to shins. Lower to folds, belly to thighs, and slowly rise up to standing. Once you make it all the way to standing, right foot roots into the mat. We extend right arm up to ceiling. Give me a bit of a side bend over to the left. Lift chin from chest. Keep core active. Don't hold the breath. And we'll release, arm down by our sides. Deep breath in, arms overhead. Exhale to fold, belly comes down to thighs. Inhale, half lift, flatten your back. Step your left foot into a lunge position on the ball of left foot. Bring hands to thighs and extend arms overhead. Right knee is right over the ankle. Take a few deep breaths here. Option to add the twist over to right, looking towards the back of the mat. Inhale as you bring both arms back overhead and open to 5-pointed star, facing the left side of the mat, arms at shoulder height and feet are forward. Turn the toes away from one another. Bend the knees into goddess pose, stacking them over the hips. And let's start to add our side bends. Doesn't matter which side you take first, but nice slow movement. As you bend, elbow is either on the thigh or hand is on the body. Whichever works best for you. Squeeze that core as you find your side bend, working on obliques. And finish whatever side you're on. Straighten the legs and turn the feet forward. Bring your hands to hips, hinge forward just halfway, chest parallel to floor, before bringing fingertips down to the ground. So remember, you can bend the knees if you need. Walking into lunge, so right foot faces forward, we're lifting up on the ball of the left foot. Set back into plank and lower to tabletop. Preparing for our bear lift in 3, 2, 1. Hold, twist, start. Twist, and start. Again, twist, back to start, twist, and start. Lower the knees, find puppy pose, step back into plank, and hold for 5. Check your alignment, make sure those hips aren't too high, and release, chest to mat. Inhale, lift the chest, baby cobra, and exhale to your rest position, taking a few moments of stillness here. Deepen the breath. Slowly make your way back to a tabletop position. Extend your left leg behind you, pointing through the toes. Give me a crunch right into lunge. Step up to half lift, back is flat. Lower to fold, belly meets the thighs. And slower than we've done before, we're gonna round the spine up to a standing position. Take your time, we're slowing it down just a little bit. Bring left arm back up to the ceiling, root down through left foot. Give me a side bend over to the right. We're gonna roll down into forward fold. Belly meets the thighs. Let the arms and head hang heavy. And round the spine up to standing. I'm gonna ask you to try with your eyes closed on the opposite side as we start to slow down our movements. And close the eyes now if you're comfortable doing so. Extend your right arm up to the ceiling, root down through right foot. Add a side bend. Roll down to forward fold. Try to keep those eyes closed and hang out for a few breaths here, head reaching towards the floor. Try taking ragdoll, grabbing opposite elbows, allowing gravity to lengthen our spines a little bit more. And find a gentle sway side to side. Rise to half lift, eyes are still closed. Step back into our tabletop position, or plank, then lower down to tabletop and open the eyes if they are still closed. Last set of plank work here. We're gonna lift in 3, 2, 1. Pause, twist, back to start, and twist. Keep it going. Twist, twist. Knees to mat, find puppy, find form plank. We're gonna hold this one for 15 seconds. If you're completely pooped, you're more than welcome to lower down now. I've already started counting. Make sure we're all still breathing. We're holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, and release. Bring the big toes to touch, but let heels fall away from one another. Turn your head so you can rest on one cheek. Lower your arms along the sides of your body, palms face up towards the ceiling, and then wiggle the shoulders away from the ears. Take a nice deep breath in through nose. As you exhale out through mouth, relax completely onto the mat. We'll take a short rest period here. Slowing down the practice, coming to a close. Slowly turn your head to the opposite side. It's getting a nice even stretch for our neck. Bring your chin to the mat, place your hands underneath your shoulders, and one final time, press into your rest position, whichever is more comfortable for you. Very slowly make your way to a seated position facing the front of the mat. Moving right into Baddha Konasana or butterfly pose, bottoms of the feet together, pressing firmly into the pinky edges of the feet. Finding length through the spine, gazing down towards the floor, relaxing shoulders away from ears. Did a lot of hip work today. One last hip opening. If you'd like to increase sensation, you'll find a fold leading through the chest, hinging at the hips. If you folded forward aim, we'll bring the chest back up, lengthen towards the ceiling, then straighten both legs down the length of your mat with feet flexed. Lift both arms overhead, drop chin to chest, then round the spine into rounded back stretch, bringing hands down to the knees and pointing elbows out to the long edges of the mat. Again, melting shoulders away from the ears. Getting a nice stretch on the back side of the body. Maybe feeling a little bit of tension in places you didn't even know that you were holding it. Take some deep breaths and help ease the body of that tension. Slowly start to lengthen the spine back to ceiling into staff pose, planting hands on either sides of your hips, finding some added length through the spine before relaxing back to neutral. If you're not already sitting in the center of your mat, make your way there now, then bend the knees, planting feet to floor. Hold on to the back of your thighs and we'll slowly roll down till we're flat on our back, just like how we started at the beginning of class. Draw both knees in towards your chest, holding below the knees or on the back of the thighs, and just give them a squeeze, pulling thighs close to body. Tucking the chin slightly in towards the chest. If you'd like to find movement, you can gently rock side to side. Then bring hands behind the head, interlacing the fingers, elbows wide out at your sides. And bring knees in line with the hips. Pressing low back flat to the mat. Ankles are in line with the knees. Remember those toe touches from the beginning of class? We're going to add a little something to them. So nice and slow, just the right toes come down towards the floor. Low back stays pressed to the mat, and then we lift. Left toes touch, nice and slow, and lift. We're gonna add a crunch. Try to keep the elbows nice and wide as we lift the chest up towards the knees. We're not aiming all the way up, and then lowering back down. Right toes touch, slowly lift. Left toes touch. Find the lift. Find the crunch, shoulders lift off mat and back down. Again, right toes. Find the lift. Left toes. Find the lift. Keep that back flat. Lift the shoulders for crunch and lower. I think we've got one more in us, so right toes down. We got this. Find the lift. Left toes down. Find the lift. Shoulders lift. Back to mat. Draw both knees back in towards your chest, holding below the knees or on the back of the thighs, and we'll find another hold here. Rocking a little side to side if you choose to do so. Hands on the back of the thighs, extend both legs up towards the ceiling, pressing out through the heels. Legs don't have to straighten completely. Just take a few breaths here. Bringing some fresh, oxygenated blood towards our heads. Helping to calm our nervous system and prepare our bodies for a bit of stillness to end our practice. Draw the knees back in towards the center of the chest. Place your arms along the floor at shoulder height, palms face up. Let the knees fall to the right into recline spinal twist as head gently turns to the left. If the knees are higher than hip height, you're going to intensify your twist. If the knees are lower than hip height, you're going to find some ease in that twist. It's up to you how little or how much sensation you'd like to create. Just find a comfortable position for you by moving the knees around a bit. Maybe the eyes close again as the body feels the slowing in our movement. Slowly draw knees to center. Let them fall over to the left. Head turns to right. Slowly draw knees back to center. Wrap your arms around them one last time. Take a deep breath in through your nose as you lift head to meet the knees. Hold your breath. Squeeze the body nice and tight into a nice little ball. And as you exhale out through the mouth, we'll release to lay flat on the mat, spreading our arms and legs nice and wide, taking up as much space as we can. Toes fall away from one another. Palms are face up towards the sky. And eyes are closed. Deep breath in through the nose. Exhale out through the mouth and melt onto mat. Relax your brow. And bring your attention to your breath. Follow every rise and fall of your chest. Follow every little movement the body makes to bring breath into the body. And then the movements the body makes to let breath go. And just keep your focus on your breath. Every exhale moves you a little deeper into relaxation. If your focus has wandered, bring your attention back to your breath. As thoughts pass through the mind, try not to hold on to any one thought. Let thoughts come and go as they please, and refrain from labeling them as bad or good. Just let them be. Now start to deepen your breath. Start to wiggle your fingers and wiggle your toes. Welcome movement back to your body. Slowly roll over to the right side of your body and take a moment of stillness on your side. You can use your arm to support your head if you like. Keeping your eyes closed or your gaze low to the floor, slowly press yourself up into a comfortable seated position. As always, to finish class, we'll take 3 cleansing breaths together as one. That's breathing in through the nose and breathing out through the mouth. Today we're going to take a 4-count breath. So we'll break the inhale into a count of 4. We'll break the exhale into a count of 4. If after the first round of breath that comes very easily to you, I will ask you to extend your count to a count of 5. Let's all start on an exhale. Release all the breath you have in the body. Breathe in through the nose, 2, 3, 4, and out through the mouth, 2, 3, 4. Breath in, 2, 3, 4, and breath out, 2, 3, 4. Last time, 2, 3, 4, and exhale, 2, 3, 4. Take a second to give thanks to your body and your mind for getting you through this practice, for giving yourself time out of your day to come to this practice. And I'd like to thank you for letting me lead you on this practice. There's a light that exists within me that honors the light that exists within each and every one of you. Thank you so much. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, this class is aired every Wednesday at the same time, 8 a.m. You can access it at any time during the day though. If you like this class, but maybe a little too much core work, you can try my Vinyasa yoga class. So structured much the same, just without all the core targeting work. A little slower movement. That's aired every Monday at 8 a.m. But we also have lots of other classes to check out. Let us know what you think. Leave comments. Let us know any concerns. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.